So this is a Christmas themed yoga session. I've got my Christmas tree on with my cats. My cats haven't actually yet seen the Christmas tree because they were born in the beginning of the pandemic and we didn't put a Christmas tree up. So heaven knows what the cats are going to do with my Christmas tree. Anyway, so what I'd like you to do first of all is to lie down comfortably in Shavasana with the hands by the sides, palms upwards, and rotate the feet outwards. Quite a nice gap so the hip joint is opened out that way. And I don't know about you, but my shoulders tend to creep up, so wriggle jiggle them down a bit comfortably, and then the chin often rises up, scrunching up the back of the neck. So if I were you, I'd bring the chin slightly down and open up the back of those 7 neck vertebrae and the discs in them. So it's brilliant sunshine. It's exceedingly cold out there. I reckon it's -5. So it might snow. And in here, fairly warm. It was a little bit cold, but we had to move from our church wall, which was absolutely blooming freezing. And so we're in my yoga studio. Just managed to get us all in here. So lying there relaxing, nothing to do for a moment. And for those of you who've been doing yoga for a long time, I think there used to be, many years ago when I was doing it, maybe in the 70s, maybe the 80s as well, that using blocks was basically cheating. Whereas in fact, if you look at my head, if my chin is going up, it's much better to have a block to open out the back of the neck. And that way I'm actually doing better yoga. So remembering that blocks can actually improve your yoga considerably. Because yoga isn't about, oh dear, I hear a little lecture coming, oops. Yoga isn't about competitiveness, look at me, I don't need blocks. Yoga is actually about moving the body in a particular way to open energy channels, to impact you physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. So it's very subtle, like Tai Chi, like acupuncture. And actually struggle and strain defeat the purposes of yoga. All right, lecture over. So let's lie here and see how our minds are doing. What is the mind doing this morning? What's it thinking about? And normally I ask you just to be gently and kindly aware of what the mind is thinking, whether it's busy worrying, planning, remembering, mithering. Mithering is a Lancashire, Yorkshire word for kind of worrying and getting bothered and het up. But this time I'd like you to notice if there's anything that's troublesome, and then see if you can just turn a few thoughts to what you're grateful for. And I'm grateful this morning to have a beautiful yoga room with sun shining in and 3 delightful friends, and also the computer so I can record it so people around the world can see it. And I feel really grateful. So the mind can get stuck being bothered and mithered. Let's just nudge it without criticizing it towards also recognizing what else is going on, positives. Without denying the negatives. And if life is tough for you right now, I hope that this session will help to bring a bit of peace, calm, and even a bit of smiliness into your life so that you feel better towards the end of it. And then let's turn to the emotional level. How are we feeling emotionally this morning? And again, no judgment, just listen. And I think most of you have heard me say that emotions are always there for a reason. But there's another little teaching lesson that goes along with that, which is sometimes emotions are there for a reason, but they've been triggered so that the reason has triggered maybe the wrong emotion, wrong in inverted commas, because it's triggered an emotion coming from the past. So although the emotion's there for a reason, we don't necessarily always have to believe that the emotion is directly and 100% connected to what we think the cause is, what created it in the first place. So a sort of humorous, gentle, tender, light touch to the emotions, because we're extremely complicated human beings. And then moving the awareness to the body. How is the body this morning? This wonderful, wonderful body of yours. Are you taking good care of it? How is it doing? How are its joints? How is the digestive system? How is your face and your jaw muscles? Are you tensing up? How are your hands? How is your skin? Is it getting dry in this cold weather? Please be kind to this body of yours, because generally, on the whole, you're the only person who's really looking after it. Okay, and then let's take our awareness to the breathing. So what I'd like you to do this time is, it's all a bit unusual today, is breathe in deeply and feel the belly rise up to the ceiling. And then breathe out. And then breathe in deeply again, belly rising up to the ceiling, and then long, slow breathing out. And one last time, deep in breath, and long, slow out breath. How nice is that? And then breathing nice and steady and slow, just let the breathing be, and observing the movements of the belly as you breathe. And I always find that the breathing reminds me of the amazing miracle of life. How is it that we're all living, breathing, conscious? How did that happen? Really, it's amazing. The wonder of life itself. Okay, and then let's be aware of the breathing, the body, the emotions, the mind. How are we and who are we in this moment? In this room, in this place, on your mat. and see if we can bring gentleness and tenderness and kindness to ourselves. Because it is really tricky being human. Okay, we're going to start moving. So bring the legs to parallel and then breathe in, stretch the arms behind you. Nice long stretch. Point the toes. Nice long stretch. Bring the toes towards you. Okay. Lovely. Bring the belly in to the spine if you can. And then bend the knees and roll over and come up. So the yoga class I taught last, which is on my YouTube channel, so it was Monday, was all about posture. And it'd be really nice for you to look at that, because a lot of people, as they age, they start to do this and they get this lump here. My husband was my assistant and I pointed out how he was actually bending over too much and the exercises that we need to do to stop that. So please do look at that. But for this morning, we're actually going to do Christmassy themes. So first of all I want you to do, apart from admire my Christmas jumper, which I got from the charity shop 2 days ago for £5. Breathe in and up. And breathe out and down. Close the eyes a moment, drop the shoulders and bring the shoulder blades together. Centering. So let's pretend our hands are a Christmas tree. So my hands are joining my Christmas tree. And if you're really anti-Christmas, which you could be, or you're in a tradition which doesn't recognize Christmas, every time I mention Christmas, just laugh at me. Just laugh at me, okay? Don't take it too heavy. Don't go, oh, she's mentioning that word again. Just go, silly old Sarah, okay? And then opening the palms out, hands upwards. And then breathing out, point the fingers, that's it. And breathing in, opening. And then pushing with the palms. Well done for staggering. And then breathing in, coming up. This is the first time I think I've ever taught a class in my own yoga studio up here. Actually in my house. Is that true, Angela?
I've not been.
Yeah, well, if you've not been, definitely not. Breathing in. So this time, sending out love and kindness. So this is a sequence that was created by a lovely Australian teacher that I've been teaching for about 20 years now. Pushing out with the hands, sending kindness. Receiving, breathing in, up you come, and folding and coming down to the heart, sealing at the heart. So let's do it again. When we breathe in, we receive all the love and the kindness and tenderness in the world, every single moment of it that's happening. Let's just stay there for a moment, breathing in and out. So in this moment, in the world, somebody, at least one, if not several billion, are being kind to another person or to themselves. So it's as though we open our hands into our heart chakra here, right there, and we're allowing that delicate, loving, tender, kind feeling into our own heart, which tends to get scarred and protected. There's a big sigh going on over there. All right. So let it pour in. You can imagine it as liquid, golden liquid pouring in. You might feel the world is horrible. I hate it. I'm fed up with people. I'm going to go down the garden and eat worms. But for a moment, let's remember there are millions of acts of kindness and gentleness from one human to another, from one human to animals, from animal to animal. The list goes on. And let's imagine we can fill with that, because if we're empty, we cannot be kind. Filling, filling, filling. Okay, and then look down at the hands for a moment. And that mudra in the yoga tradition is one of receiving. The palm centers here, this energy, which is very strong energy, is actually opened up. So you can accentuate that by opening the fingers around the palm center. Okay, and then go back to closing the fingers and send from your heart here out. So I'm sending it out to those of you watching the video, wherever you may be. May you feel kindness in your life and loved, gentle, feel tenderness. And breathing in, opening the hands wide out, receiving. So receiving into that palm center and allowing this area here to be wide open. Lovely. Okay, and then send, because we have loads now, we can send it out. So again, I'm sending it out to my students in here, my students in the village, my students in England, in Britain, in Europe, in the Ukraine, everybody in Ukraine. We have a Ukrainian guest just on this side. Put your hand out, just wave into the good hand. Wave. Okay. And then all over the world, America, Australia, whatever. Let's care about each other. That's what we need. And then breathing in, we seal at the top, and breathing out, coming down to the heart. Breathe in, breathe out, and pause and do nothing for a moment. If you're uncomfortable kneeling, I'm sorry, you could have done this sitting or sitting on a chair. And then breathing out and coming down, placing the hands, palms downwards on the thighs, rolling the shoulders back. Nice shoulder movements. And then forwards. Okay, so I'm getting warmer, so I might have to remove my Christmas jumper. I told my husband that it was for him, and he looked horrified. He said, "And when do you expect me to wear that?" And I went, "I will spring it upon you." Yes, wouldn't that have been great if he'd gone to work today with his Christmas jumper? Anyway, let's come to standing. You may need to take your socks off. So, what we're going to do is standing, first of all, in the mountain, as we normally do. Oh, can't see my head. Let's come back. Not in it. Breathing in, going up. Okay. And then feet just under the hip joint. Okay. And have a look down. So a lot of people stand a bit like that. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but the insides of the feet parallel to each other. Okay. Lengthening up. Engage the abdominal core. I'm pulling in. Lift, lift, lift. Lift, lift, lift. Lift, lift, lift. And then up onto the toes. So that's tricky, and you might find that your ankle joint doesn't want to do that. You can see my ankle joints working away there. Try and keep me steady. Good exercise for them and for the foot muscles. And then eventually it gets to the point where I want to come down. Everybody else in the class is going, "Please stop." Breathe out and come down. Release. Just move that over slightly. Okay, good. Then I'd like you to take the arms out, and we're doing the Christmas dove of peace. So when we're doing this, imagining that it's as though we're blessing this entire planet that's revolving in vastness of space. We're blessing it with, "Please be peaceful to one another. Please remember we're all finding life hard. Be kind to each person you meet." Doesn't mean be foolish. Sometimes you have to be wise with your kindness and recognize when you can't do any more. Okay, and then Next time you're coming down, separate the feet some more and place the hands, palms upwards. So in Tai Chi, we're at the third Dantian. Now knees need to be going over those second toes here. Toes are pointing at 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock. Okay, good. Lovely. And then remember not to lean forward or back. And we're simply going down and breathing in and straightening as we come up just to the forehead and breathe out and down. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. So this is good for digestive problems, for blocked energy, as we're moving it through the central sushumna in yoga, the energy coming up through the spinal column area, around the spinal column area. So breathing in, lift on the in-breath. Oh, I put my shoulders up there. Breathe out and down. You can watch me if you like. Watch those shoulders go up. Oh, I think I stopped them this time. Breathe out, down. Lovely. And then when you're down, place the hands on the knees and down we go into the Christmas sumo wrestler. Is there a Christmas sumo wrestler? There is now. Festive seasonal sumo wrestler. We're just swinging side to side, but we are being very careful of that hinge knee joint, okay? So from side to side. You might see a few knees coming into the picture, but they're anonymous knees, aren't they? My students are allergic to appearing on video for good reason. I don't think I'd want to if I wasn't a teacher. Mind you, if it was me, I'd be coming in doing photobombing. I'm sure I would. I'd be like, hello. I would. Okay, and then deeper down. Okay, so the thighs, if possible, almost parallel to the ground. And the upper arms almost parallel to the ground. And we're not going to stay in there long because it's hard work. Breathe, 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 breathe. And then come up. Rub the thighs. Was that okay? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then, because it's Christmas, we're going into the Christmas tree. Okay, hand up. I probably need some foam padding along that as well, because I've hit my head on that so many times. We have a beam here in the room. A beam of light from the angels. No, it's a beam of wood keeping my roof on. Okay, so with the tree, the main trick is to make the base foot as wide and squishy like an elephant's foot on the ground. And the foot, it won't stay on your thigh. Don't worry about it too much because it might be that your yoga pants are slippery. So you can hitch it on the knee or even on here or here or on the floor. Okay, and just sliding down. And if you fall over, it goes into skittles. Moves from being the tree to being skittles. Don't worry about it too much. Could you be a tree with its leaves gently moving in the breeze? Karen just said her baubles have fallen off. I don't think I should repeat that. You've just blown it now. That's why I whispered it. Okay, and then leg out. So this is kind of being a star. This is a shooting star, I've decided. Lovely, and down. Relax, shake out the arms. Well done. If you're wondering what this pile of mess here is, that's covered by a bed sheet, it's all my yoga gear. I really need a cupboard. If anybody wants to volunteer to come around and make me a cupboard door, I'd be very happy. Okay, standing again in the mountain, nice and strong and steady Tadasana. Shoulders back. Lovely. And then let's put the weight through the other foot. Now all the way through a very fat elephant foot. Nice and steady and stable. Go up into the oak tree first, and then up into the poplar. Breathing into that. Nice steady breath. Out into the outstretched oak tree with the leaves blowing. And then, if you can, you could come into Namaste in the tree. If you're wondering why I'm so steady and stable, guess.
You're against the wall.
I'm leaning against the wall. It's perfect. I could be here forever.
I was going to say years of practice.
Years of practice, of course. I made Angela look and she's now looking.
And laugh. The laughing tree. That's not working.
The laughing tree. It's not a tree. It's fine. Okay. I'm breathing out and coming down. That's the first time I've discovered that, Angela, so thank you. Back into the mountain, so steady, immovable Tadasana. And then we're moving into the star. So again, wide, remember, it's always those knee joints I'm so careful of. So putting the feet out at 10-2, checking that when the knees bend, they go over the second toe. They don't do anything funny like this. And then we go into that star. Lovely. And so straightening out the knees now. So we started to bend to check them. And now we straighten into the biggest star. And we think of 6 limbs. So we think of the crown of the head lifting up, chin down a little, and the tailbone and the 4 limbs. Close the eyes a moment, and then see if you can actually have your hands over your feet, radiating from here, the belly button area. Well, actually, it's 2 finger widths below the belly button area, just there. Shoulders down. And breathe in, breathe out and down. Okay, good. How are we doing for time? Doing good. And then just swing a little from side to side. So see how my foot is going up as I swing. So I'm calling this the dancing elf. Whoa. Happy dancing elf. He might have drunk a little bit too much mulled wine, this elf. As you can tell, we take yoga very seriously here. Okay, good. So just keep checking that knee is going the right way. Okay, and then I'd like you to heel toe, the feet together. So next is, I'm trying to remember all the poses. Yes, of course. Well, because it's about energy, and all through time, people in all different tribes through the millennia have always thought of the energy and miracle of the world as anthropomorphically as a god or goddess. So every religion seems to have gone there, and even Buddhism thinks of, Tibetan Buddhism anyway, has particularly enlightened beings. So let's incorporate that in this festive scene, and let's do the god to goddess pose with the star. So let's start over on this side. Everybody gets out of the camera. And we're starting with Lord Shiva pose, the god pose. So right knee bends, right heel points towards left knee, right hand goes up, left hand points towards the heel, you see, and then breathing in, opening, star, breathing out, down, into goddess pose. Then swing to the left because we want to head that way to the right. So swing and push back to the opposite Lord Shiva pose. Excellent. Lot of little feet photobombing here. It's very sweet. You can say hello with your feet. And then opening out into the star. Okay. Down into goddess pose. Lovely. Swing to the right, because we're going to go that way. And push into Lord Shiva pose on this side. So don't worry if you're doing it a little bit clumsily. Eventually, you'll get the hang of it. And push and over. Goddess pose to Lord Shiva pose, to star, to Lord Shiva pose. Whoops, way round. And over. Is that a beam?
I'm just thinking I'm going to go and curve. Come on, this whole very stabilising. I was thinking answer it.
Breathe out. And then push. Okay, and release. And cross the arms in front of you. So I think, Karen, you could get away with not being on screen if you came this way a bit, then you've got less chance of being hit by the beam. Yeah. Okay, and up. So this is the radiant light. I'm making it up as I go along. The radiant light, opening up those shoulder joints. The radiant light the other way. Radiant light. Lovely. Super duper. And then I'd just like you to be, oh my goodness, what's this? This is the Merry Shepherd.
Oh, Sarah.
Good call. And at home you can make them up too. But I want that hip joint nicely lubricated. So Merry Shepherd.
It's Mary.
Karen says it's Mary. Really?
Well, she needed an lubrication.
She did. She needed to start this open. That's true. That's true. Okay, and then careful because of the knee joint. Just do some hip rotations. Okay. Obviously, be careful of your sacroiliac joints at the back. And then we're going to come down into one of the most elegant yoga poses of all, which is the turkey, the stuffed turkey. And I'd just like to say that with the stuffed turkey, I'm vegetarian, so it's more like stuffed nut roast. But here we go. It's all right, we're not facing the other. Yoga pose, taking the hands through to the feet, knees coming down to the armpits, looking up to the heavens. Okay, and then bringing those knees more closely down into the armpits. So the stuffed turkey pose comes into its own at the festive season, and for Americans at Thanksgiving, and for vegetarians, well, we just smile and wave, smile and wave. Oh, and yes, Mary and birthing. But we best not go there. Some people might get offended. That's very naughty. But I agree. Okay, and then bring the soles of the feet together and the knees out wide. And this is to help Mary for the birthing procedure, really opening out the pelvis. We're saying this very respectfully.
Well, to be fair,
I mean,
when
it was,
I had my children,
yes,
I did do yoga regularly.
Me too.
And I think this seriously helped.
me too, me too. I did yoga before. I was doing a headstand actually the day I gave birth to Sam, and I was doing some mega yoga 2 hours before I went into labour with Katie, which was started in the evening. And I think that's why I had, well, I can't say for sure, but I did have 2 very manageable home births with no intervention, no gas, no. I wouldn't say it wasn't painful, but
We wouldn't believe you.
yeah, you wouldn't believe if I said, oh, it wasn't painful. It was so painful. But I think it helped so much that I did yoga and I did the breathing work. But also, you know, I could have been unlucky and had to have a cesarean or something awful happen. Thank goodness Mary didn't need a cesarean. That would have been the end of that, wouldn't it? Okay, and then legs straight up. I'm pulling from behind. Lovely, chin towards the chest. And then lowering the knees, bending the knees, lowering the feet, and bringing the knees into the chest and just rocking from side to side. And this is the Christmas pudding pose. Was that good, Angela? I think?
Yeah, I like that one.
You like that one? And then hold on to the knees and do the big circles. And this is for when you've eaten too much Christmas pudding and turkey and trimmings and nut roast or whatever. And going the other way. So my friend who is Jewish, but she's also trained in Tibetan Buddhism and a shaman, wonderful multi-faith perspective on life. But she tells me that in America, a lot of Jewish people on Christmas Day go to Chinese restaurants. So I guess if you've gone to a Chinese restaurant and you've eaten too much, this is also a good one for the digestive system.
I want to leave it an hour or so.
Yes, maybe leave it an hour or so. Okay, and then some bicycling. And there's no way I can get that into the Christmas story unless you can quickly think of something.
The wise men are hurrying across the desert.
The wise men are rushing. This is the legs of the camel.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just have to be upside down, but the camels are running across the desert with the three wise men. Okay, so backward cycling and forward cycling. And then placing the feet down on the ground. Pausing, 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 rolling over, coming up, and we're just going to go into the cat pose because I've always insisted that there would have been cats in the stable, wouldn't there? If you think about it.
Yeah.
So, table position. Okay, might just turn around that way. Table position. And then breathing in, looking up, tailbone up. I'm breathing out, tucking under and going down. I'm breathing in. Back into the hammock and then into the bridge. And into the hammock and into the bridge. Into the hammock.
Manger.
Yes, it would be the manger. I like it. I'm breathing out bridge. Bridge is the bridge they have to go to get into Bethlehem. There's obviously a bridge, isn't there? Got to be a bridge somewhere. And the next time you go into the bridge, just staying there for a moment and really exaggerating the pose without hurting yourself. Maximum pose, chin to chest, tailbone tucked under, spine curving upwards to the heavens, pulling in from the abdominal area, breathing into it. And then the next in-breath, going into the hammock, or this is the manger. I'm bringing the shoulder blades down towards the waist, looking up beyond your peripheral gaze upwards, so trying to look to the ceiling. Okay, and then breathing out, coming down, lowering down. This is the three wise men, the three kings, worshipping the baby Jesus. That was an easy one to think of. So some people call this swan or rabbit. It's the nice long spinal stretch. And if you can walk the fingers further away from the head, that's lovely. Just opening out the shoulder blades, coming down. Breathing into it, nothing to do for a moment. And then pushing her down, they come back. And there would have been cows in the stable, so we have to do Gomukhasana really, which is the cow pose. So cow pose is the one that we've been working on actually through this term, which is rather tricky. It starts in Guru Asana, the teacher pose, which is also appropriate. In the Christian tradition, they believe that this little boy child became the main teacher. Okay, so we're going into Guru Asana, and then the knee that's on top, for me, is my right knee, my right hand goes up, and I push it down the back, and I catch the fingers at the back if I can, or dangle a sock down, or a yoga belt, and we're in the cow pose. I'm breathing into that. So the trick is not to strain to get the fingers to touch so that you actually crumple up, but to dangle something if you need to, so you can keep a nice upright spine. And whatever you do, don't swear and curse at yourself for not being able to do it, because that's counterproductive, to say the least. Just do what you can. Okay. And then you can probably feel that which shoulder joints have really worked in this. We shall release the hands, first of all, shake them out and rotate. Okay, and then release the legs, rub the knee joints, because that's a very strong pose. So if you have painful knee joints, you might find that you want to protect them. You don't want to ever do Gomukhasana. That's perfectly allowed. That shows that you're developing kindness and compassion to yourself. So let me see. This time my right foot goes under, my left foot goes on top. And that's the teacher pose. Guru Asana. Shoulders back, spine straight, crown of head lifting. Relax the jaw, relax the forehead. And if you can't go into this pose, don't worry too much. Simply go into this pose instead. So, okay, or go into cross-legged. Okay. It really captures here. So then look at the knee that's on top and take that hand up. So mine is my left knee, left hand goes up, and then it needs a little bit of help, encouraging it down. And then I put the little finger onto a notch in the spine so that it holds there while I reach through with my other fingers. And if you can't quite touch, dangle a sock or a yoga belt, and then breathing into it. Close the eyes for a moment. Keep straightening the spine if you can. And then release out. Okay, and from there we're going into the cobbler pose, because they would have been wearing shoes and they would have needed cobblers, and we have to remember the things to be grateful for, which I think is to be grateful for a cobbler. I've just seen there's possibly a leak in my attic roof. What's that? Don't know. Actually, it looks like grease of some sort. Anyway, back to cobbler pose. I always fear that these skylights are going to go. And we're rocking from side to side. So you can feel your sitting bones making contact with the ground. And this, for all of you pregnant students of mine, very helpful for opening out the pelvic area. So I have a student who's due to give birth in February. She's not in this class, it's my other class. And really recommend that you keep doing this pose. And then do, for the groin area, these adductor muscles, do the butterfly, keeping the spine upright. Lovely. There's a mist rolling in across the hills. It's very frosty out there, so it's looking very Christmassy. And what I find every time I teach a Christmas theme class, I used to do one for charity each year in the village for friends and family, is that that evening I would then be lying in bed remembering all the possible Christmas poses I forgot. So there's probably lots of them. Okay, and then take the legs out wide and bring the feet towards you. And so, you know, poor Mary and Joseph, they got to the stable and they probably were ravenous. So hopefully at some point, the innkeeper fed them. So he would have been stirring whatever it was, the food that he was making.
Christmas pudding.
Christmas pudding.
That's where it was invented.
That's where it was invented, in Bethlehem on Christmas night, according to Angela. So don't blame me, that was Angela. And then round the other way.
First.
Yeah, you heard it here first. So we're doing, these are Charlie Chakrasanas. They're good for purifying and cleansing, especially the digestive area. Also, obviously, good for preparing to go into labor if you're pregnant. And there's no sort of maximum on this. If you have painful hips, obviously stop. But if you feel that that feels good for you, keep going into it. Nice stretch and stretch, okay? And then arms forward. And I'd like you to lean forward and then take the arms up. And the reason we take the arms up in this pose is because the rib cage here is trying to collapse the internal organs towards the pelvis. And we need this area lifted. So lift, 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 and keep lifting and hands forward. So for me, this hurts where I damaged my adductor many, many years ago, probably about 15 years ago now. So I'll always bend that knee doing this pose, looking down and imagining the forehead on the floor. If you can get the forehead to the floor, there's two things I would say. One is you're probably a gymnast. Two is you might be naturally flexible. Three is you might be hypermobile and that's actually hurting your hip joint. And four, just check you're being kind to yourself, okay? So just imagining the forehead to the floor, sweeping the hands out to the sides. And also if you can naturally do it and it's all fine and you're not pushing yourself, wonderful. Enjoy the pose. So hands out to feet or to your shins, wherever comfortable, and then just drop the arms. So we're in the pose, but we're trying to keep the torso long so we don't mush up those internal organs. That's a technical term, mush up. Okay, breathe, 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 breathe. And then breathing in, coming up. And because we did that forward bend, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you, there was lots of wood in the stable, built of wood. The manger was built of wood. So we're going to do the plank. You like that segue?
Yeah, I don't want plank.
So the plank, take the hands back. Technically, the hands are forward, no, fingers pointing forward. If that's uncomfortable, go on to fists. If that's really uncomfortable, could you just pass me one of those squidgy things at the bottom, at the bottom, at the bottom? So on the squidgies. Take one for yourself, one for me. I recommend squidgies.
Someone paying, please. Thank you.
Yeah. And you take the other two. So I'm going to do fists. I'm not going to hurt my wrists just because. And lifting. And up we go. And technically the crown of the head and the middle of the ankle joint are in line. So you may not have a mirror to check. But actually that's looking very lovely, very good. We like. And eventually the wrists or the hands have had enough. So we breathe into the pose. And then we breathe out and we come down and we rotate our poor wrist joints. And the other way. Lovely. And then, I'm afraid, no.
I'll fall back.
Exactly.
Well, I'm better at that.
So we do the other way. So facing down, plank. And again, with me, it's very easy to drop. So just see if you can check you're not dropping. Breathing into it. So it looks like a press up that's got frozen in time. And you can soon tell if your arms are weak in this one, because the arms start to tremble early on. And then bend the knees for a moment, go back to table. There would have been a table, and I presume at some point they would have invited Mary and Joseph to eat at a table. And then back into the downward facing. So the reason why we're doing the downward facing plank twice is because it's harder to stay up in it long. We actually stayed up quite a nice long time in the reverse plank. Okay, knees to the floor, big toes touching, move the knees out to the edge of your mat, coming down, and either worshipping the new child or praising that which is the wonder of the universe, or a pose of surrender so that we don't feel that we're the great big boss and totally in control of our lives, because unfortunately we're not. Other agents impact on our lives all the time. So a pose of surrender in a good way. Sometimes we just can't change things, but we can change our attitude, our inner sense of self. Nothing to do, just relaxing, opening out the shoulder blades if there's anything you want to just double check. Okay, and then sliding the hands back and bring the knees in, because it's about the baby Jesus. Let's go into baby pose, Balasana, with the hands, palms upwards by the ankles. Forehead on the floor. If it feels comfortable all the way, uncomfortable all the way down, put some blocks here. Grab some blocks and put them underneath you. Just releasing into that. And letting go for a moment again. Pose of surrender, relaxation, safety, calming, soothing. Okay, and then sliding the hands up past the knees, palms downwards, pushing come up. And just want to, so find a comfortable position. I'm kneeling, because most of the time I am usually quite happy kneeling, but you might want to sit on your blocks. Would you like some blocks, Elena, to sit on? Are you okay? I'm sure there's loads of blocks behind you of different sorts and shapes and sizes. So I just want to teach some bit of mudra work, bit of breathing work. There you go. Might be helpful. And remember, if your ankles hurt in this, I know I keep saying it, but I'm so surprised that lots of people just suffer it. And I remember one of my first yoga teachers when I was an adult, not when I was a child, who were always very kind to me, but when I was an adult, she was incredibly strict in a not nice way, actually, bless her cotton socks. And she would be quite cruel to get you into poses, which actually I didn't have the confidence at the time, or I respected her, so I didn't actually say that's not a good idea. But looking back, it was not a good idea. So if your ankles hurt, please have them over something like that so that it's more comfortable. Okay. Never suffer in a yoga pose because it's not helpful. I do keep saying that, don't I? Good.
Yes.
So I would like you to simply do an easy mudra where the index finger is just flicking onto the thumb. Okay. Shoulders back. Fingers wide. Okay. It's the mudra of wisdom. May there be more wisdom in our own hearts and minds and in the world. May that be so. And then, keeping that mudra, I'd like you to cross the hands. And what we do is we interlock those fingers. So I don't know whether you saw that. Let me put it in a way that you can see these are your, and you interlock them like so. So you can't actually take your hands apart. Yeah. Straighten out the fingers. Hold them at the heart. So it looks a bit like a bird or a dove. There you go. There's our Christmas dove, dove of peace. So let's hold that mudra of wisdom, strong double wisdom at the heart. Relax the shoulders, relax the face. Breathe into it, breathe out of it. And this is a good mudra to do if you're feeling really, what would I say, antagonistic feelings or feelings of wanting to kind of defend and attack. This is a mudra you do for the pause, the reflection, the peace and the wisdom. Basically, it's the think before you act mudra. Okay, and then releasing that lock, and the bottom hand is in, again, this same mudra here, and the right hand, the dominant hand, which is usually the right hand, is in the teaching mudra. So you may have seen icons of Christ in this teaching mudra. So just pausing and breathing into that. So it's bringing wisdom into the system and able to release that wisdom out into the world. So just let that energy change within the system. Okay, I just release for a moment. So many people say, I don't believe in these mudras. I don't believe that it's an energy change. Well, if you think about it, when you go to somebody, and I won't do it to anybody here because it's quite awful. If you go, think of the energy that's moving through your body when you do that. We actually use quite strong mudras in our lives without even noticing it. Or, you know, there are various mudras where we go, actually, so we're using them without knowing it. So let's go back into that teaching mudra. Index and middle finger upwards, that's it. Shoulders back. A little bit longer, and then we'll go back to full wisdom mudra. So index finger to thumb down and holding here. About the second chakra, second, third chakra. Relax, shoulders, close the eyes, breathing into it. Middle fingers are actually touching. Okay, and then creating the steeple mudra where the fingers are touching, the thumbs are touching at the base. Okay, and down on the heart chakra, down at the heart chakra. The forearms are parallel to the floor. If you're uncomfortable kneeling, do remember you can sit on a chair or sit cross-legged or sit with the legs going straight in front of you. Lean against a wall if you need to. Okay, and then widen that steeple mudra out. Okay. And I'm not actually going to say what this mudra is because I think it's obvious, but it's very good for childbirth if you think about it. Nice wide space. Is it hurting the thumb? Okay, the thumbs. So your thumbs are here. Try taking the thumbs, watch my thumbs. Oh, they don't go that way.
No, that one wouldn't move down.
No. Okay.
That one will, but the other one won't.
Oh, I can do exactly what you
Probably
want with that.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a very good point. When my students pointed out they can't go back, so best to stay there. Go down if you can. So opening out into that. And then releasing out, and let's just do the finger work. Bend in, bend up, bend in, bend up, bend in, bend up. Next one. It's really good for keeping those fingers lubricated. And I don't know whether anybody else has noticed, but after the age of 30, things start to happen in the body. It's not really fair. Honestly, if I was in charge of this whole system, universe, planet, I would have us all get to about the age of 30 and just stay there physically, mentally.
Say colours.
No, I just wouldn't have so much deterioration happening, even if you do exercise, gym, yoga, Pilates, the deterioration keeps going. People can't tell I'm 95, so it must be doing me some good. Okay, and then try to do a bit of wiggle jiggle together. And then do the wrist rotations. Okay, and then the last thing we do before relaxation is we rub the hands together, really, really hot and warm. Hot, 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 hot. I don't know about around the world, but everybody in Britain is experiencing extreme problems with heating because it's so expensive, it's doubled or tripled. So we're all really frightened and worried about the bills. And obviously in Ukraine, a lot of them are out, don't have heating, don't have lighting. And I think most of Europe is experiencing the same problem, this knock-on effect from the war. So that nice warmth on the hands and then into the eyes, release the hands into the palms and just feel that soothingness, the nice black velvet, smooth, warm, soothing, lovely. So nice. And if you're at home, you could follow the warm soothing, which is really relaxing the whole eye socket area and the muscles around it, with cooling slices of cucumber when you lie down for Shavasana. Okay, so we're going to lie down into Shavasana and just do a little bit of relaxation, but just massage the face. Lovely, tender, soft care to your face, as though you were putting moisturizer on, but caressing tenderly your own face with love, gentleness, tenderness. Because remember, it's hard being human. Okay, thank you. And those who wish to go now, because you're dashing off to work or something, we're just going to do the relaxation. So if you'd like to go down to Shavasana again, yeah, you might need to put your socks on. I will keep the recording going because I might lead you through a relaxation. Let's just jump back on. So if you're watching this in a hot country, we're dead jealous. Having to put so many layers on. But whenever you do lying down relaxation, honestly, it's a good idea to cover yourself a little, except if you're in some steamy heat somewhere in India or the tropics. And also psychologically, it's really good for you to be noticing that you're taking really good care of yourself. Really, really good care of yourself. So, here we go. If you have glasses on, try to put them somewhere safe so you don't accidentally stand on them when you finish the practice and get up. So again, the hands are about a foot away from the hips, palms upwards, the shoulders are away from the head, chin to chest. You can wriggle and jiggle so your back is comfortable. If it's hurting as you lie like this, please bend the knees, eases the lower back, or roll over onto your side and rest in the fetal position or some comfortable side position. Feet are about 2 to 3 foot apart, toes going slightly outwards. And let's imagine that the whole body is just relaxing and melting into the ground. Breathing, quietening down. And then as you lie there, if you wish, you can listen to this slight guided visualization meditation, or you can just mute your device and rest in silence. But I have very many various visualization places I go when I need to rest and calm and be peaceful. And one of them is a forest in a snowy landscape. So I'm all togged up. Imagine we've got all the best snow gear on, warm as toast. And we're crunching our way through brilliant, thick, white, sparkly snow, between trees that are adorned with snow. And it feels so magical. The sun is really dancing off all the sparkles in the snow crystals. And it feels so nice to move through this absolutely perfect snow in our thick, warm snow boots. And as we come through this forest, we find there's a beautiful bench waiting for us, and because it's a visualization, it's been cleared of snow. It's toasty warm to sit on. Always make it as perfect as you can for yourself. It's even got rugs and blankets, a warm drink for your hands to hold. And we're looking out across the most spectacular landscape. beautiful, beautiful landscape, all covered in snow, little houses with lights sparkling inside them, and a sense of all the peoples of the earth snug inside their homes. And remembering that on that Christmas night, Mary was actually a refugee. At that moment, she'd left her home, she'd had to go to Bethlehem, and she had nowhere to live. And she was put in a stable. And so let's remember all the people in the world at the moment who are not necessarily in their own homes, have been displaced. And it's the little acts of kindness of one human being to another that helps people keep going. And that's what we're on this planet for. So looking out at all those twinkling lights and a feeling of humankind trying to find shelter, companionship, warmth, love, care, community on this planet of ours, this home planet of ours. And for a moment we can imagine it from space, the blue-green ball suspended in millions and millions of trillions of miles of space, of universe. And in a way, we've kind of foolishly made boundaries and rules, and we've drawn on it, and we've said, this is mine, this is you, you're different from us. And actually, we're all living on the same planet, which unites us. So sitting on a warm, cozy bench, a warm, cozy drink, let's make a season wish for all beings, including ourselves. May all beings be happy. We wish all beings, including ourselves, as much happiness as they need. And may all beings be well, wishing them health. And may all beings know peace in their hearts, not antagonistic, being peaceful. And may all beings be aware of kindness, feel loved, be able to be loving. And may all beings have wisdom, which is so different from intelligence. And may each of us be given the strength and the fortitude and the resilience to meet the difficulties that life inevitably throws at us. Okay, and then we're wriggling the fingers and the toes, bending the knees, rolling over onto one side, slowly, slowly coming up. So no sudden movements. And I wish you a very, very lovely season, festive season, whatever the background, religious tradition or non. May you increase in love and in health and in well-being.